In this video, I'll take you through the best steps to create a Vue 3 application using Vite, and in the end, I'll show you some of the best templates that you can use to make the entire process even much simpler. There are different ways in which we can work with Vue. For example, we can include Vue directly into HTML, and in this way, a build step is not required. We can make Vue components and add them directly into our applications made with Vue or any other front-end framework like React. We can use Vue to make single-page applications and progressive web applications. We can use Vue for server-side rendering and static-side generation. We can also use Vue to make desktop, mobile, or even terminal applications. We can choose different approaches to start working with Vue, depending on different use cases. For example, you might want to use Vue as a standalone script file where no build step is required. There are scenarios where you just want to add some Vue functionalities into your already existing HTML. Here you can use petite-vue, which is more like a lightweight version of Vue. It has a bundle size of about 6 kilobytes, at least as of now. Maybe that size will change since it is still new. But you can load it directly into your HTML through a CDN and straight away start using Vue template syntax anywhere in your HTML without requiring any build step. You also get access to other Vue functionalities like global state management using the reactive method, lifecycle events, and so much more. But you can also load the entire Vue library into your HTML through a CDN if you really need to. For example, here we have an index.html file, the main.js file, and the styles.css file. And in the head of the HTML file, we have a script that loads the Vue library into our HTML through a CDN. And with that, we get access to the Vue template syntax. For example, in the body, we have a div with the app ID, and we also create two buttons that will increase and decrease the value of version when they get clicked. We shall make this a reactive variable using ref. We define this functionality in the main.js file that we load in our HTML via this script tag. In this file, we shall create a Vue app instance, and from here, we are mounting it into the DOM and then plugging it to the div in the body tag with the app ID. Just like I said, in the main.js file, we create a Vue application instance with a setup function that is automatically executed by Vue. In this method, we create a version reference and initialize it by 3. We return it, and in this way, get access to it in the HTML where we have the version variable declared. So if we open our index.html file in the browser, you realize that this value displays straight away in our HTML. In the same setup method, define the increment method that increments the version value and the decrement method that decrements the version value. They are both returned, so we can have access to them in the HTML and the button tags. So whenever the increase button is clicked, the increment function will run, and the changed value of version will display immediately because it is reactive. Another way to work with Vue is by using single file components that encapsulate the template, logic, and styling of a Vue component in a single file. Using single file components is the recommended way to work with Vue, especially in scenarios where you are using Vue to create single page applications or any other complex applications. Single file components require a build step and also need to be precompiled into standard JavaScript and CSS that are understood by the browser. The compiler comes integrated in a build tool like Vite or Vue CLI. So whenever you are working with single file components, you need to use one of these tools. However, Vue CLI is no longer recommended because it still uses Webpack for building assets into single files, which makes it slow. And yet nowadays browsers natively support ES modules that Vite makes use of. So you should use Vite as your build tool for your Vue 3 applications. To get started with Vite, you have to first make sure you have the latest version of Node installed on your system. Then you can start a Vite project with npm that comes pre-installed with Node, or you can use yarn if you have it installed on your system. Then here you type your project name. I will name mine project 4. Then it will ask you to select a framework because Vite is not only for Vue. So even when you are working with other frameworks like React or Preact, you can still enjoy the benefits that come with Vite. I will choose Vue. You can start a basic Vue project with JavaScript or TypeScript, or you can choose more options with Create Vue, which is the official scaffolding tool for Vite-powered Vue projects. So we get more options. I will not use TypeScript for now, but if you need to, you can choose yes. I will choose Vue Router, Linear for state management, VTest for unit testing, Cypress for end-to-end testing. I will enable ESLint and also prettier. Then I will get all my project scaffolding set up with all the required dependencies and dev dependencies already defined in the package.json that I can install by running npm install or yarn in the terminal inside my project path. All the installed dependencies are stored in the node modules folder. Our end-to-end tests will be written in the Cypress folder. The public folder contains the static files that will be generated during the build process. Also, if you have any assets that you are never going to use in your code, like the robots.txt file, or assets that you do not want to be hashed during build, this is where you place them. They can be accessed in the application using the root path. You will spend most of the time in the source folder. It contains the components, views, routes, and the linear store folder. The assets that are defined in the source folder will be part of the build process. It contains the app.vue, which is the root component that contains all other application components. It's more like the body tag in HTML. The same source folder contains the main.js file, which is the entry point for the Vue application. It is where we initialize the Vue application instance and also register plugins that we use in the application. Outside the source folder, we have the index.html file, which is an important file because it is where the entire application will be mounted into the DOM. Inside this div with the ID app, the package.json file contains all general information about the application. It also contains aliases for running different commands. The git ignore file contains the files that are excluded during git versioning. This is where we configure ESLint. For example, you can configure your own linting rules for your code. You can find more about each rule on the ESLint website. This is where you configure your prettier formatting rules. This is the configuration file for Cypress. And this is the configuration file for Vite. So since we have everything installed, we can run our application by starting a dev server by running yarn dev, or you can use npm run dev if you are using npm. Now our application is running on localhost 45173. You see, everything is running. And we have some basic routing that is already set for us. If you do not want to go through all these steps, you can just use data templates that suit your needs. You can find many of them here. Vite is one of the best data templates for Vite that you need to check out. Subscribe to this channel for more videos about the latest topics in Vue.